Attack of the King doesn't always end in checkmate, so I got this game for you by Emmanuel Lasker against Harry Nelson Pillsbury. And you might be thinking, oh, this is a game that Emmanuel Lasker wins. No, not at all. This is a game that Harry actually wins. And this game was back in 1895, and yes, we have a contender against the Lasker. All right, let's continue on with the game. And the game started off with the move e4, e5, and let's get started. After the famous e4 and e5 moves, we got knight f3 attacking the pawn, and then knight f6 initiating the Russia game. After doing knight takes on e5, and then d6, the knight just moved back to the f3 square. After knight f3, knight takes on e4. This is actually still main line till this day. d4, d5, bishop d3. Let me fix that pawn up. After bishop d3, bishop e7, castle kingside, just going along with original theory. People still play this today. Kingside castling, okay. So we got the move knight to c6, bishop, not bishop, but rook e1, putting the rook on the same file as the king. And then after bishop g4, then we got the simple move c3, protecting the pawn because the bishop is now forking the knight to the queen, so that pawn on d4 was in danger. After the move c3 was played, black decided to play the move f5, which is striking just a little bit because the second famous move is like knight f6. You know, that's normal. Queen d6, normal enough. But f5 is kind of aggressive. And white did the move queen b3, attacking the d5 pawn, like tickling the d5 pawn, and attacking the b7 pawn. After doing the move queen b3, castle kingside, defending the f5 pawn, then we got a small inaccuracy back in 1800s, bishop f4. All right. The computer wanted you to play knight b to d2, maybe trying to defend that knight from like being captured and doubling up your pawns, but he didn't play that. After the move bishop f4 was played, now we got our first capture, which is bishop takes on f3. G takes on f3, ruining white's pawn structure. But Emmanuel Lasker was probably thinking, oh, if you take my knight, G takes on f3, I get rid of your knight, then I have to be winning somewhat, right? Those must be good double pawns. And then Pillsbury is like, well, after knight g5, I don't think you would think that those pawns are good anymore since they're already being attacked in this position. And the only way for you to defend that pawn is by defending with the king, which is always usually a bad step into like that direction. And so the next move that was played was queen d7. After queen d7, we got a big blunder, queen to c2. Now in this game, instead of doing queen c2, they could have even played queen takes on b7, knight a3, getting these pieces developed, natural opening principles. But that's not the case, and in this position, we're gonna analyze who is winning. All right, so equal material. Yeah, black has better king safety. Black has better development in time. Center control, who would you give it to? I don't know. Let's just say that it's equal. Even though I would slightly give it to black because of this f5 pawn. Pawn structure, clearly got better pawn structure. Space, that's arguable. It's just equal that. Even though I would argue that black has more space since this weakness right here, and this knight is kind of hopping into those weaknesses on the king side. But anyway, black is better in all situations. 3 out of 6 situations, black is better. That's bad. That's a bad decision. Even though the computer is saying, oh, they were saying that before queen c2, oh, this is completely equal. No, it's not. Especially in human chess, it is not equal at all. And you realize that because white couldn't even do a simple move like queen c2 instead of seeing the move knight e6, attacking the bishop. What happens after knight e6? Well, Let's continue. After the move knight e6, we got bishop all the way back to c1 to defend itself, of course. And then we got the move bishop d6, kind of aiming towards that king side, making you feel a little bit uneasy about yourself. So now it's time to get this knight developed to the square where it should have been already. But there's not really that many good spots for all of your pieces right here. They're all huddled up, ready to defend, not ready to attack the opponent. And the last piece that needed to be in the position by the black pieces was this rook on the a8 square that just simply moved to e8. After that move, you already know what's damaging. You already know that white is gonna do some silly move like knight f1, and then black is gonna see some powerhouse move like knight takes on the d4 square. After knight takes on the d4 square, queen d1, rook takes on the e1 square, and then after rook takes on the e1 square, queen takes on the e1 square, and then another sacrifice, knight takes on the f3 square, king takes on f3, then the simple move f4, and now white is gonna have to deal with the situation that they brought on themselves by not developing their pieces, by not being active. You can't do this if you're facing another grandmaster, especially you, Lasker. So now Lasker, this king is looking stupid there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it either. That king is looking ridiculous right there. And there's still pieces on the board to attack that king. How would you feel if you was Emmanuel Lasker? I would be afraid, especially if I had to do moves like queen d1 and be certain that that's the best course to go. This is why it's hard to defend, and you would much rather be on the aggressor side, not the one that's trying to defend whatever this is. So after queen d1, knight e5, the first check that should have came in anybody's mind, king e2, ugly enough, but either direction, queen g4 would have been an ugly move to contend with. And then after queen g4, king d2, ugly position, queen takes on d1. Weirdly enough, that is the best move of the position. Trading a queen. And I know a lot of people think of the principle, well, wait a minute, h1. If you're on the attack, you shouldn't be trading your powerhouse piece. You shouldn't be trading queens. But look at this position right quick. After queen takes on d1, king takes on d1, king takes on d1, knight takes on d3. Now we're attacking that f2 pawn. King e2, move back the knight to e5, and then after f3, rook e8. We're still attacking with these three pieces, but the game became a lot simpler. Look at how passive Lasker pieces are. This bishop isn't going anywhere soon. To develop this bishop back again, because it was developed on the f4 square, but now it's not, you would have to put it at bishop d2. And this knight can't go to g3 or e3, it's optimal squares. It would have to go to d2 first, which there's no promised squares there either. You would have to literally lift up the h pawn, put the knight on h2, g4, just to get that knight back to work. This rook is never getting out. There's like no hope for this rook. And so after the move rook e8, there's not enough time for you to do those simple moves. And he tries to do something by doing the move b3, but after knight g4, check, king moves to d2, knight e3. He didn't mind trading even more pieces because, look, see, thing that grandmasters know that us normies doesn't know is that once the pieces trade off, it gets a lot easier. It's a lot easier. It's a simple position that they have played in their mind 100 times over. So of course that would be a winning position. And these pawns are so weak. The pawn structure is so weak where pawns are just gonna start dropping And then black's main goal is going to be to push those pawns down and promote them. So after not taking a knight, but doing bishop b2, this knight went to g2. h3, bishop c5, just putting your pieces where they belong. And after knight h2, the plan pretty much what I described. This bishop goes to f2. We got the move c4. Seems normal enough. D takes on c4. B takes on c4. And let me tell you, white has 4 pawn islands in this position. And then after B takes on c4, and then the ugly move, h5. Why is this an ugly move? Because I said this knight was trying to go to g4. That was like the only good square for it to go. But now, since h5 was played, what really is white supposed to do in this position? The material count, we're up in material. Our king is safer still. Have more development, have more time. They still haven't moved their rook on the a1 square. We definitely have center control. We have better pawn structure. We have more space. We're winning on all of these facets, even though we're only down 2 pawns. Now, some average player wouldn't be able to win this game, but a grandmaster, totally yes. Just for example, if a move like a4 was played, knight h4 would be played to target this pawn on f3, rook e3, and then start snatching pawns all over the board. King c3, rook e3 is played, checking the king, targeting this pawn, knight h4 again. If we got the move rook d1, what happens after rook d1? Which, I don't know if I said it yet, Emmanuel Lasker resigned in this position. We got the move knight e3, attacking the rook again, pretty much telling white, hey, put that rook back where it was, out of the position like I like it. And so that's how you play chess. It doesn't always have to end up in a checkmate when you're attacking the king. It can just end up in a positional winning position. You don't have to checkmate the king. As long as you get some compensation for the attack, you're good. You're Gucci. Watch another video.